Wispy mycelium always died back. Wispy mycelium always died back.
Okay, so all right, here's me talking. This is just an audio stream, and then you're probably looking at my face. I'll try sharing some stuff later. Okay. Yeah, so Maiko, anyone else watching, you can probably hear what I'm saying, but Jayson is also talking. So how many voices are you hearing right now?
They'll definitely be able to hear me if I do that.
Okay.
He says, looks like it can only hear Peter, not Jayson. Okay, well, I'm coming straight through my microphone now, so I'm probably loud as hell. I'm going to pull back my gain a little bit. So can you hear me now, Maiko? Is Maiko... I wonder if Magic Maiko is Dawson. No, he'd be... Okay. So when we do this, I'm going to have to take a closer look because I don't mind doing this setup either. You know, it works, but it did throw off everything because I kind of set this up to like pull all the computer sound that was going to be coming out my speakers to be broadcast, and then when I plugged in the headphones, there's nothing coming out the speakers, so that cut off.
Oh.
But okay, so they can hear us. I know I can see us. I know how I can change my face to come up, which shouldn't be much of it, but I'm thinking like maybe at the beginning of this live stream, I'll introduce you. I'll do the Portland psychedelic thing. And then we'll just turn it over to you. I'll pin you. So do you want to try to pull that stuff up again and just make sure it works?
Yeah, let's test this out. So right now, here's just another Chrome tab because I don't have any slides or anything yet. It's just kind of some notes I've been taking, but here's what that looks like. And then if I were to turn this into a Google, whatever they call PowerPoint, I don't know their name of it, a Google Present or something, Google Slide. So it would just be in another tab. So here's me sharing a tab.
The tab looks pretty good on my YouTube screen. You know, it is a little like as you scroll, the letters kind of like get a little blurry, but as they stand still, they seem to be coming clear again.
Okay. Well,
If it's
let me try something here.
oh, okay, so you can just
Okay, so just to kind of see what the text size looks like and everything. I don't have anything like ready to go, but I'll copy and paste here.
yeah. Yeah, see how this presentation works. Otherwise, if you found it important that the words should be read, I would just say like double the font size, because then
Yeah,
even if
it's
they get a
always
little
that.
blurry around the edge, then it's like it won't matter.
Hmm.
And we can probably. I think I have it streaming over like the lowest definition just to make sure that it stayed smooth. There's probably some stuff like that I could do.
I want to hit present now. What does that look like? So so now I just got this the slide like full size in my tab.
Mm-hmm. So remember how I said it kind of looks like Zoom, where you're on the side, and then I got like the full screen basically, and the text is much more readable on YouTube.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I'll work on some slides, but it'll mainly be me talking. I don't feel like this is going to be a too visually heavy, but like here, this I got like some timeline stuff because I really appreciate you and a couple other people in Meetup gave me some suggestions. Like I specifically would like to hear about this thing. That definitely makes it easier for me.
Yeah, and all mine, I left a lot, but they all kind of are around the same thing, and that is like we don't. It's like the other side of the culture is so hell bent on making all drugs seem so evil that all we talk about is the benefits, and then you have like one side talking about like all the bad stuff and one side talking about all the good stuff, and no one really making we see all the benefits. Hey man, it cures your PTSD, but like we also hear stuff like, it can eat away at your brain. And I know people who did a lot of ecstasy and stuff over time, and there is some kind of characteristic to, I don't know if the word personality is right, but to the person that they become. And I'm not talking about people who use it therapeutically. I'm talking about people who becomes their habitual thing of choice. And so my curiosities all came to like the dangers and like what are the what could be the effects on your brain that are not positive and stuff like that. I hear a lot about what do they call it, where it says it deteriorates your brain and stuff. So I'm really curious for your presentation, and if that doesn't get covered enough, I will definitely be here for Q&A and follow up because I feel a tremendous responsibility to the people who come in and say, hey, I have PTSD, I've been reading about, let's say, magic mushrooms, and I go, hey, that's pretty good, but like MDMA is what that we're seeing all these research come back and say that's what you're going to want. And then, oh cool, we got some cool more people commenting in our chat room now saying that the presentation was much clearer to read. And they're talking, the person's name is Justin. He is following along with our conversation about the focus of the industry looking at the benefits, and the dangers must also be understood and minimized. So, anything else you wanted to check out while we were on this stream? Just troubleshoot tech-wise.
Yeah, well, I was wondering because definitely if I'm looking at my Google Slides or Google Doc or whatever, or our conversation in Google Meet, I can't see any YouTube comments. I do have that open on another window on mute, but that's distracting because there is a bit of a lag. There's like a 2-second lag, so that's really weird to see me from 2 seconds in the past as I'm talking or gesturing with my hands or something. So I probably am not going to look at the chat myself because that would be hard to do. So you can do that and definitely let me know when people are chiming in. Otherwise, I was sharing some stuff. I thought, I mean, if I do make some charts or whatever, I'm going to put that into my slides anyway. I'm not going to share the actual, the raw thing, but just as an example, just to kind of see what it looks like. So here's a little backwards chart I made, which may or may not be relevant, but we see that it's reverse chronology, but we see that the blue line is ecstasy tablets that are just MDMA and nothing else. And that the purity has gone up dramatically over the years. So that 2019, it's over 70% of tablets are pure based on a very small selective data set, of course, but that's good. Fewer additives. So that's what a spreadsheet looks like when I share it.
Excellent. Do you think that is that due to testing kits? Do you think that's due to like darknet? Do you think that's due to just like the FDA testing making it like more popular, so people aren't just buying it as like a street drug that could be anything, and more like making sure that they have something?
It's a good question. I'm not sure really. I'm trying to track down some references, but so I got a book called Drugs Without the Hot Air by David Nutt. Fantastic book. I'm gonna show it off. Gonna plug that because it's wonderful. But he says, but he doesn't give a reference. He's got like thousands of references at the end of the book, but he says this one thing and there's no reference for it. So I'm trying to track it down. But he says that in 2007, there was a huge bust. Like so many, many kilograms of saffron oil were seized by the government, and it was enough so that MDMA production went down dramatically. That happened in 2007, and so we see around 2008, 2009, 2010 that the amount of ecstasy is down and the purity is down as well. And then it starts to recover a few years later as we find different ways to synthesize it or different kind of workarounds to get the chemicals that are on the watch list. So so there was definitely like a big drop around 2008. And now it's just, and this could be just kind of a natural recovery as we see the potency returning. But also certainly, I don't know when the dark web started, but I'd say probably I first heard about it, maybe 2015 was when I first heard about it. And I'm certainly not on the cutting edge of that stuff. So that could change things too. Now you don't have to rely on the guy down the street.
Yeah, what was really interesting about the dark web, and I didn't get to use it too much, and I was not into drugs and stuff, but I am into technology, and I am into like, just I want to know what's going on in the world. I don't like reading an article and then somebody telling me what something is. I like to just go figure it out. So I got on some of this darknet stuff, and what was really cool about it that I saw at the time, and again, I wasn't even like ordering anything, I was just like checking it out, is they would have like message boards off the darknet on the, let's call it white net. And if you were on this message board, you could order from, okay, sorry, I'm trying to back this up. So you're on the white hat message board. You go onto the dark web, you find a MDMA dealer that you think you might want to buy from. Instead of having him ship it to you, you would buy a gram from him, and he would ship it to, and he wouldn't know this, he would just think he was shipping it to you. He'd be shipping it to a doctor in Spain or Portugal where they would have like the access to actually test the drugs legally in the university.
cool.
And then the doctor would come back onto the White Hat forum and say, this seller tested at 88% pure MDMA or something. And then like the people on the forum would know, at least for that short window, that they would be able to get something clean from that seller. But the thing is like once the sellers would get the reputation, then they would be like, oh, I can charge way more and then buy my shittier stuff. So it didn't last long, but it was cool that you could have that kind of like, well, just like in Portland, every bag of weed says 20% and all that stuff on it. So it's kind of cool to be able to know what you're getting. And I thought maybe the darknet had something to do with that, like the way that they were testing stuff and just kind of running off bad quality in some sense.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, just being able to kind of have reviews and just to know like this seller is generally more trustworthy than that seller. You don't know about a specific batch unless you test that specific batch, but you could say most of the time, I've dealt with this guy before and it's worked out well for me. And just kind of normally, and like with your friendly neighborhood drug dealer, you can still have like a reputation and you can talk to your friends about this and that, but it doesn't like reach a wider audience. So yeah, that very well could have something to do with increased purity. And I think also just, I would guess increased awareness, that more people are kind of asking for it or more people are on the lookout. Not that I don't think people in the 90s rave scene were like, yes, I would like dirty ecstasy, please. But they just maybe, MDMA, like the science of it wasn't what it is now. And there just maybe wasn't as much in people's minds. But that's totally a guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've been at enough parties with young people to just know, like, there's no testing. It's like, hey, you want this? And they're like, what is it? And like, I'm not saying every young person is irresponsible, but let's just say that there's enough irresponsible people in the pool that, like, if there's pills floating around, they're going to be taken. Almost no matter what they were at certain parties, it'd just be like, oh, you said no, good for you, Jayson. Pass it down the circle. It's not, you won't get a second chance. Somebody else is going to take it. So yeah, I'm curious. And then I know we have Dance Safe come and talk with us, and they do testing on MDMA to make sure that it doesn't contain meth and that it does contain MDMA, but I don't think it can give you a purity score.
No, not the kind of, like you can buy a little reagent kit from Dance Safe and it'll tell you more or less the purity, but not the potency. And even the purity, it's not like a lab kind of test where you can say it's like 88% MDMA and 5% fentanyl or something like that. But it'll give you just kind of it changes colors, based on what's in it. And so you could say, well, it's kind of brown and it's not really purple, and so probably it doesn't have any cocaine in it or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, especially to, you want to be able to screen out things like fentanyl or like if someone wants to take ketamine, if they're like, yes, I would like to buy a pill of ketamine, please, then great. They know what they're getting into, set and setting, right? But if they want to buy some MDMA and they actually get ketamine, then that's going to be just weird and confusing.
Yeah, I've heard of people finding bags and thinking that it was another drug and taking it home, and then it being ketamine and being stuck in the bed. And I don't want to get into one of the funniest stories I ever heard, but I don't want to tell it on the stream. Is a guy was visiting his friend and he found a bag of something in the couch, and he's like, hey, I gotta go home now. And the friend's like, what's up? And he like didn't tell him. He just like stuck it in his pocket, and he just wanted to go home and take some drugs. He thought he found something good, and he took the whole thing, and it was ketamine. And he talked about being stuck and he crawled out of his bed into like the backyard, and he had to. I really don't want to tell the story, but now I kind of have. He began like puking, but he was like in like a K-hole, or whatever. He couldn't like even like move, but he like knew that he had to puke, and he was puking, and the neighbor's dog came over into his yard and like started licking inside of his mouth because he was so paralyzed, just stuck in the backyard. The neighbor was like licking his face. He said he could feel the tongue going in his mouth, and he couldn't do anything about it. And it was like, well, on one hand, you get what you get when you take some unknown substances, but on the other hand, it was pretty vile story, but it was also very funny. So, all right, we've been at this 20 minutes. We do have some viewers.
Okay.
We'll be back, let's say Thursday the 28th, with a full presentation from Dr. Peter Addy. Less stupid stories from Jayson, less more facts, more informed opinions. And what time did we say we wanted to start that? Was it 6:30?
I think that was 6:30.
Okay. So we'll be back here in 11 days with more with Dr. Peter Addy. Anything else, Peter? Closing?
I really I'm going to say this, during the big one, but I'm telling everyone who will listen that we are so close on IP34 and IP44. If you haven't signed either of those, Jayson or anyone who's listening, these are two ballot measures. If we get we're just trying to collect signatures so that they show up on the ballot in November. And IP34 would legalize psilocybin services. You could legally go on a psilocybin mushroom trip in a licensed, regulated way with like a sitter. That would be fantastic. And IP44 would fund substance abuse treatment throughout the state by decriminalizing personal possession of all drugs, moving to more of a Portugal-style model where we actually treat people instead of incarcerate them for being addicted or for being drug users. So those are both fantastic things. And I signed them, but, we need, 100 or 1,000 more signatures, and we can't go to New Seasons or whatever anymore to just or TriMet stops to, get signatures in the real world. So we just got to do it by word of mouth. So Google those. If you haven't signed them yet, go do that.
Yep. Okay, so that's yes on IP34, which is for psilocybin therapists. We're not a political organization, so Portland Psychedelic Society is not the ones telling you to do this, but we do want to keep an informed community, and so these are the bills that are coming, and that's yes on IP34, I think .org. You can learn more about that. That's psilocybin-assisted therapy for the state of Oregon. I don't know what IP44's website is, but again, that's decriminalization of all possession, and they're going to use some of the money to do addiction recovery services, if I understand that properly. A different model of addiction recovery. And then there's Decriminalized Nature, which is happening in the city of Portland. And they are also, I believe, gathering signatures at this phase. And they would allow all plant and mushroom substances to be non-prosecutable. No money could be spent by the city of Portland to prosecute you for plants and mushrooms, if I believe that to be the case. And so I know, yes, on IP34, to do it, you have to you have to print out your own ballot and mail it in, basically, because as Peter says, you can't just find these people on the streets and have them sign something anymore. Everybody has to sign their own and mail it in. They're close, but, with this model, it makes it a lot harder. They probably could get there in a couple weeks if they could just stand outside the grocery stores, but, yeah. All right, well, I appreciate that. If there's any other part you'd like to weigh in, otherwise we can close this stream.
Well, I guess that's good for now. So thanks for testing all the stuff with me.
Righteous. All right, everybody. Well, we'll be seeing you. Check out our meetup. We're doing tons of Zoom meetings for free right now. So if you are watching our YouTube channel and you want to meet us, talk to us, share something, need some support, have some question, find our meetup page. I'll put the link in this description, and you will be able to learn more about ecstasy with Dr. Peter Addy on Thursday, the 26th of May, and then that video will be up here forever. So, but please join us. And if you have any questions for Peter, find our meetup. You can leave questions in the meetup comments, and Dr. Addy will address them during the live stream.
Yeah, please give me questions so it's not just me rambling for an hour and a half. I want it to be more focused than that.
Okay, sounds good,
Okay,
Peter.
great.
I'm going to end this stream and